is Dr. Saket Bhatia. It's a Wednesday afternoon, 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Dr. Saket is on air with us. Now, keeping in mind the weather conditions, थोड़ा सा हमें late हो गया है, but then he will definitely be with us for the next 1 hour. Now, if you've tuned in for the first time, let me tell you that Dr. Saket Bhatia has a PhD in astrology and is a certified numerologist. Sakeji is also a senior board member at the International Association of Vedic Astrology and Numerology, that's the Ivan Association, and he has over 25 years of experience with 12,000 plus clients, including a lot of famous celebrities, CEOs, politicians, business owners, and the likes. Currently, studio का number है 7326624701 और शो के दरमियान में मैं आपको उनका नंबर भी देती रहूंगी जहां पर आप उनसे प्राइवेट कंसल्टेशन कर सकते हैं. Hello, Saket ji. Welcome to Radio Zindagi.
Uma, how are you?
I am good. Thank you so much. How about yourself?
I'm doing very well, and thanks for adjusting. I know we're running late, but this is good. At least we get a chance to talk to the listeners, na?
Yes, I think आपने फिर से मुझे hi hello करना पड़ेगा because I believe your mic wasn't too loud.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, as long as it's loud and clear, I'm happy. I said,
Yes, absolutely loud and clear now. All
I'm
right,
glad to be
Sakiji,
here. Yes.
absolute a pleasure to have you on air with us. And Sakiji, हर week आप एक नया topic लेकर आते हो. And what is it that we are going to talk about today?
So, for the last few weeks, we've been talking about different houses in astrology, right? Last week, हमने 8th house की बात की थी. We didn't get a chance to go too much into depth in other houses. We'll continue that. We want to talk about
Okay.
other houses 9, 10, 11, and 12. Time मिलता है तो we'll cover all of them. जितना जा सकते हैं we'll discuss. We'll try taking callers' calls also so we can answer people. But आज हम बात करते हैं start करते हैं 9th house के साथ.
Okay.
9th
So
house.
जी,
Yes.
9th house के बारे में हम बातें करेंगे. For the people that are tuned in, this is Dr. Saket Bhatia live on Radio Zindagi. हाँ जी, Dr. Saket, आप 9th house के बारे में आज बात करना चाहोगे?
Very, very, very important house, 9th house. When we may do astrology, we must study the first house lord, and immediately we must study the 9th house. I'm not trying to say कि बाकी घर important नहीं है, but 9th house is particularly important because 9th house से D9 chart बनती है, which is the Navam's chart. Without reading the Navam's chart, the main chart becomes meaningless by itself. 9th house is important because it is the house of spirituality. It is the house of luck. Okay. 9th
Okay.
house is called Bhagya Bhava, right? It is the house of research,
Bhatya Bhava.
the house of luck, house of spirituality, house of father, house of research. So, इसकी importance क्यों है? Because in astrology we believe, and it is true, he who is spiritual is lucky. जितने भी लोग लॉटरी जीतते हैं, they have very strong 9th house or strong influences on the 9th house. People who've gone to school and done significant amount of research have strong 9th house. From the 9th house, we can study father's health, relationship with father. So the 9th house is also called Dharam ka ghar, the law of one's nature, the principle of your life. It shows us your values, ideals in life. आप दूसरों को कैसे treat करोगे? Some people like to always constantly blame others. Some people like to change themselves.
Right.
How se dikhta hai. It shows how we influence people and how we guide them. Religion, philosophy, law, all this is through the 9th house. When we say this is a nice human being, he is a kind-hearted, good soul, this is 9th house. Okay.
तो वो
It can
इंसान का
also
जो भी nature है, that is controlled majorly by the 9th house, is what you're trying to say.
correct. 5th house is also the house of what good deeds you did in your past life, how they reflect on this life. Ninth house will be what you will take into your next life. So it's very
Um,
interesting how this house works.
I do have a question over here when you say about the past life and आपके पास बहुत से लोग जो हैं from different walks of life आते हैं. Now, what if somebody that doesn't, in their religious belief, they don't follow the past life का, concept. तो फिर कैसे reading होती है उनकी?
Everybody is free to choose what they want. Na? We can't force anybody. There are
Right.
many religions that don't believe in this. There are many religions that believe. We are here to simply tell you ki in your past. So we cannot go back and tell you, in your past life you were a king, you were an RJ, but we can tell you ki पिछले जन्म में you did something good, that you
हाँ.
have these good planets placed in your fifth house. Now, if you don't believe that, that's fine. Then why don't we stick with you have some good luck that you were born with,
Right.
some good stuff that you were born with, and the outcome will be the ninth house. So how well you shape it is going to be the ninth house. आपकी
Okay.
destiny तो लिखी हुई है. We know what's going to happen in advance. Now, how you're going to churn it and shake it, that is what ninth house is. Ninth house gives honor, prestige, power in life. It is a very good house. If bad planets are sitting in ninth house, or bad aspects are on the ninth house, then it becomes a problem. Many people who are serial killers, murderers, their ninth lord is usually in the eighth house. The ninth lord becomes bad. हमने बहुत ही कम charts देखी है in which the ninth house is completely ruined. Very few, right? Ninth house is also research, higher education, mental intellect. So when people are calling on this show and asking me, will my daughter become a surgeon or will this? We look at the ninth house because that is also related to uh, so much more than just spirituality. It is not easy to get into school. There's always good education, good intelligence, and certain amount of luck. Luck is ninth house. आपने बोला होगा, this person is so lucky, everything just falls into place for them. That's because it is ninth house.
The ninth house
Okay.
is in good place.
Very, very important house. It's also the house of your father. It tells us everything about your father, his health, your relations with your father, and it is fifth from the fifth, so we get more information about your children. It is wrong to study only fifth house and say you will have a child.
हाँ
Many
हाँ.
a times we study fifth house and we see there's no child. Fifth from fifth is 10, ninth house, which tells us even more information about the child. I'll discuss that more in, if we have more time. So,
Yeah, and I really like, there's something that amazes me कि ये सारे जो houses हैं. I have a phone call. If if you're okay, we can take them on air.
sure, let's see if we can hear them.
Okay. Hi, you're on air. Can you hear them, Saket ji?
No, I can't hear.
Hello, you're on air.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Okay. Okay. And your name? Okay, no problem. What is the question? Okay. So I have a question from an individual here for a boy whose name is Rohit. Rohit
Okay.
is born on January 18th, 1991 at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 1:05 in Latur, Maharashtra. And the question is, when will Rohit get married? Correct? So I'm looking at the chart. Uh, for marriage, since we have less time here, right? We always look at seventh house, house of marriage, house of partnership. This chart is of an Aries ascendant, and Mars is, I would say, well placed in the second house. Seventh house pe, the Karak Venus is very strong, but Venus also happens to sit in the 10th house with Rahu, Saturn, and Sun. There's a negative aspect on that. At this time, Dasha chal rahi hai Jupiter Moon ki. Moon has no direct aspect on seventh house. Jupiter, Mars, no direct aspect on seventh house. I think a right time for this person to get married starts February 3rd, 2026 and goes on till June 29th, 2028. ये 2 years के बीच में this individual should be married. I say should because Rahu is very strong and Jupiter will have a direct aspect. So keep that in mind. February 27, 2025 to February 3rd, 2020, February 3rd, 2026 to 29th June 2028 is the right time for this person to get married. All right? Yeah,
Are you
Uma.
still talking to them?
Yeah, I just got done talking to them.
All righty. So, yes, sir, we will give you a chance to call in the studio. Studio का number आप अभी handy रख लें, 7326624701. And if you've just tuned in, Dr. Saket Bhatia is talking about the ninth house and its importance in our lives. And just before हमने ये call ली, मैं साकेत जी से कह रही थी कि it's so interesting कि सारे houses कैसे एक दूसरे में intertwined है. And you know, एक की क्वालिटीज की वजह से लाइक यू नो इट जस्ट काइंड ऑफ एक दूसरे की एक्शंस को वो बहुत इन्फ्लुएंस करते हैं.
So when I was talking to this individual, were you able to hear what I was saying?
I was able to hear you, but I wasn't able to hear the
That's fine.
phone
That's
call.
fine. It's a very interesting call on when the individual would be married. So now we're trying to wrap up ninth house. So ninth house may indications are father, luck, fortune, research, philosophy, faith, worship, spirituality. People who are good lawyers, they have very strong influence on the ninth house. Think about it because they're judging so many people, right? They're helping so many people get the right decisions in life. इसका कारक होता है Jupiter and Sun. I'll do a whole show specially on what that means. कारक क्या होता है?
हाँ हाँ.
The ninth house is a trine lord. Amongst all the houses, ninth lord is considered to be the strongest. In fact, in your chart, the ninth lord is the strongest lord. So that the planet which owns the ninth house is the strongest planet in your chart. He will make you or break you in terms of luck. Okay? Remember
Okay,
that.
so ये जो कारक होता है can make you or break you.
Karak means significator. It is what causes a certain thing to take birth. The house lord is what will make it grow, and the house is what will make you enjoy it or not. There are three stages of this. जैसे
हम्म.
seed होती है. If somebody
हाँ.
gives you a seed, that seed is karak. Then you put that seed in the soil and you put water and it starts growing. That growth is what is the house lord. And how you will enjoy that plant is the house. Does that make sense? These three things are important. If the karak is not there, you won't get the seed. That thing cannot take place. If the house lord is weak, then even after you put the seed, the plant will not mature. If the house is weak, the seed will grow into a plant, but you will not enjoy any benefits from the plant.
So let's say someone's house is weak और उनका कारक जो भी है like you know they've started the build up is you know being done. तो कोई उपाय होता है कि इस हाउस को स्ट्रॉन्ग कैसे किया जाए?
Absolutely. There are upais. Many of them. Some of them can give you instant results, some will take time. I'll give you examples.
हाँ
Let's
हाँ.
say you come up with an idea and you say मुझे एक business start करना है.
हम्म.
That is a कारक.
ओके.
आपने business में अपना time, effort, energy सारा डाल दिया. That is the house lord.
हम्म.
जब business grow हो गया, your partner cheated you and ran away with it. You got no benefit from it. That is the house. You get it? Now,
Yes.
how to make sure that you enjoy the fruits of your hard work is what an astrology can do, and what an astrologer can help you with. तो इसके solutions होते हैं making sure you're working with the right partner, making sure you start the business at the right time, making sure you don't invest too much money, you get more returns, making sure you take out some work from it जब time right होता है ना. These are important things.
हाँ हाँ.
Remedies तो होती हैं. Astrology is full of remedies. Astrology is not just looking at a chart and telling you क्या होगा. वो तो अगर हमने
Right.
नहीं भी बताया, life will unfold itself and you'll come to know.
Uh-huh.
It is to make you aware, to guide you so that you can reach new heights.
Exactly. Yes, that definitely that's where the expertise of people like Dr. Saket Bhatia comes in handy for us. With over 25 years of experience, certified numerologist है Dr. Bhatia, and also 12,000 से भी ज़्यादा clients हैं उनके. At this point, do you think, Dr. Saket, we are good to take some phone calls before we go on to the
Yeah, yeah,
house number 10?
absolutely.
Okay, so 732-662-4701 is the studio number. 732-662-4701. So when you call in, थोड़ी information आपको देनी होती है आपके बारे में, like your date of birth, your place of birth, your time of birth, and maybe a couple of questions जो आप शायद अपने बारे में जानना चाहते हो, या फिर अपने loved ones के बारे में जानना चाहते हो, feel free to call in. Dr. Saket Bhatia is here with us for the next 45 minutes. And yes, until we get a phone call, would you like to speak more about Karaks or move on to the 10th house, which is also the house of career?
Let's move on to 10th house.
जी.
जब कॉल आते हैं, we'll take a call. 10th
All right.
house is 10th house जो होता है, it is the house of career. Now, why is 10th house important?
हाँ हाँ.
Because 10th house is not just career, it is achievement. बहुत फर्क होता है career and achievement में.
Mm-hmm.
See, a career means you're doing something, right? You
Right.
may be happy or not. Achievement is what level you've reached in life. Does the world recognize you? Are you content? देखिए, there is a difference between hobby, career, and work. Hobby is something you're passionate about. Okay. Work is something you do when you're forced to do it or because you have to make ends meet.
हाँ हाँ.
But career is आपने क्या किया है अपनी लाइफ में? What have you done, whether it's good or bad? But if you can tie up all these three things together, na, including your
हाँ हाँ.
passion, you're going to be very happy. And ये करना होता है लाइफ में. 10th house tells us what you should be doing in your life to be happy as well.
So the 10th house
मैं-
is your career house. Your वो कहता है यानी डायरेक्ट करते हैं आपको उस हाउस से कि आपको एक्चुअली कौन से टाइप का करियर परस्यू करना चाहिए. If I'm not mistaken, is that correct?
That's correct. We have many
Hmm.
people who, let's say they have an engineering degree, and then they come to me and say, I'm working in so and so company. I'm not happy. I don't like it. I want to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Then we look at their chart, and it is the 10th house that will tell us what they should be doing for happiness, success, and money. Have you seen कभी कभी बहुत लोग अपना प्रोफेशन स्विच करते हैं. They
Right.
start with one thing, then they jump into a second and a third and a fourth and a fifth. For
Mm-hmm.
example, in Bollywood, some lady starts off as an actress, as a model,
हाँ
then she
हाँ हाँ.
becomes an actress, then after that they become a politician. It happens all the time, right?
Yes, it does. Yes.
So what is the driving force that is making you move from one field to the second to the third? There are so many people who start off as engineers and then they go become realtors or they start a franchise. तो
हाँ
ऐसा
हाँ.
क्या हो गया कि they switched? So this is what the 10th house does. If we look at the 10th house lord in the Navam's chart from the sun, moon, and the ascendant, we can correctly predict what your correct profession should be. If you follow that, you will be successful, you will be rich, you will be happy. If you don't follow it, then you will unfortunately be where you are. Okay.
So yes,
So 10th,
हाँ जी, sorry.
so 10th house is related to concrete professional achievements in life. It is your personal ambitions. What do you want? Success, fame, power, money. Planets will show what relation you have with other people of higher executive placement in your business. So it's not related to people that work for you, but people that are superior to you. How you will
Mm-hmm.
interact with them. Kafi kabar we see many people who don't have relations with their managers. This is from the 10th house. We tell you, fix your 10th house. The flaw could be in you. Maybe you're over expecting something in life. Correct?
Right.
Fame, honor, status, good deeds that benefit society, they all fall in the 10th house. देखिए, 10th house does not determine your career. It is the first house which determines your career. The 10th house will tell us the magnitude of success and fame that you will have in your career. Okay.
Right. At this point, फिर से मैं एक बार studio का number I'd like to hand out to people that are tuned in. 732-662-4701 is the number. 732-662-4701. If you're trying to call the studio, Dr. Saket Bhatia is with us for the next 40 odd minutes until 4:30 तक हमारे साथ हैं. आपके कोई सवालात होंगे related to your life, your health, your career, चाहे आपकी हो चाहे आपकी कोई loved one की हो. Feel free to call 732-662-4701.
How many people work for the government, IAS officers or leaders of militaries and so on? Many of them have sun in the 10th house.
Okay.
People who start their own businesses have sun in the first house because sun is your leadership. Sun is your independence. When it sits in the 10th house, it is leading different people, leading something. When it sits in the first house, it is leading you. ये फर्क हो जाता है. So when we see sun in the 10th house, we generally tell people it's good for a government job. You will rise in that field. Correct? So,
Okay.
yeah, this is very important. Sun, the 10th house will relate to fame, honor, status, respect, world power, good deeds, how you benefit society. You've been to college. जितने आपके institutions के heads होते हैं, most of them have very strong 10th houses. They have mainly Sun or Mars placed in the 10th house. The 10th house is also a house of skill, achievement, honor, right? When you are born, the planets that are sitting right above you are in the 10th house because first house is planets that are just rising and seventh house is planets that are setting. So 10th house बहुत important होता है. Nothing to do with luck, but important to show you how successful and famous you will be.
And
People who have done
it all depends where your sun is sitting, in the 10th or the first. Is that
first
also
में
where
रहता,
we, huh?
if it is in the first, we know you're going to be independent. You should start your own business. If it's in the
Okay.
10th, you're going to lead something. Now, how big it's going to be is up to you. If you're in the right place, it could be big. If you're in the wrong place, it could be small. Correct? If Ketu is sitting in the 10th house, it generally means you will take your career for granted.
In the 7th, you said.
In the 10th house, if Ketu sits, it
Okay.
generally
In the
means
10th.
you will take your career for granted. These are people
अच्छा.
who keep in their career forever. एक ही job में लगे रहते हैं. They don't change. Correct? If you have
Okay.
Rahu sitting with Sun in the 10th house, it's a phenomenal thing. If both these planets are good, you're going to grow. You're going to grow, you're going to lead, and you're going to have a good name and reputation for yourself. Always.
All right. So, if you've just tuned in, बात कर रहे हैं यहाँ पर for all the houses in astrology and the domains of planetary action. Now, with me live is Dr. Saket Bhatia, who has a PhD in astrology and is a certified numerologist. Saket ji is a senior board member at the International Association of Vedic Astrology and Numerology. Over 25 years of experience with 12,000 clients, including a lot of celebrities, CEOs, politicians, and business owners. Dr. Saket Bhatia is here to help you with any questions regarding your life, your career, your health, your marriage, or maybe anything to do with your loved one. So he is here in the studio. The studio number is 732-662-4701. And Saket ji, आपको ये भी मैं बताती हूँ that some since it's like थोड़ा बहुत weather हमारे यहाँ खराब है, तो I probably there's not a lot of people on the roads, but ऐप से जो भी हमें ट्यून इन कर रहे हैं, अभी फिलहाल हमें सुन रहे हैं, फेसबुक से जो भी हमें ट्यून इन किए हुए हैं, we are live on the Facebook Radio Zindagi Tri-State page as well. So you can also, if you're live on there, if you have access to our Facebook page, please do go there. वहां पर भी आप सवाल कर सकते हो. लेकिन obviously the easiest and the more direct way to call is to call the studio 7326624701.
Mara, every week we come on air and we
Mm-hmm.
discuss astrology, right? But
Right.
listeners need to understand the purpose of this show is not to make you an astrologer. It is not for you to come to an astrologer, but it is to make you aware कि life में improvement के chances बहुत हैं.
Mm-hmm.
There are two ways to improve your life. One, self change. You change yourself, correct? But self
Mm-hmm.
change, maybe you need to know what are the weaknesses and what are the strengths. Only then you'll be able to do your change yourself. Na?
Right.
Second way is you go to somebody like us. We are not just astrologers. Think of us as life coaches. We look at your chart and we tell you कि आपकी लाइफ में strengths क्या है, weakness क्या है, दशा क्या है, what is good, what is bad that is happening to you. And उसके base पे you can take out the negative influence and add the positive influence to make your life grow better, grow faster, be more successful. देखिए, it's not just about money every time. It's about peace and happiness too, correct?
Uh-huh.
I always tell
Definitely.
people who come to me, why are you where you are? Because of two things. You were born that way, and second, the choices that you've made. हाँ, external forces भी होते हैं. Nobody denies that. But you have
Mm-hmm.
made certain choices. You decided to come to America. You decided to find your partner, get married. You decided to buy a house. You decided to choose your career. तो choices आपने लिए हैं. So it doesn't make sense to blame others. What is right is to stand up and say, ये अच्छा नहीं जा रहा. I want to change it and make a change quickly. नहीं तो
Mm-hmm.
पूरी life निकल जाती है wondering what you're supposed to do. Sometimes we can give you that much needed push in your life to get you to the next step, right?
Right.
So with that, we'll talk about the 11th house, then we can take a break. 11th house is the house of gains. It's also the house of social involvement. What does social involvement and gains mean?
Mm-hmm.
Gains is very different from money. Money is what you earn in your job. Gain is when you take that money and you invest it in something else, and that suddenly gives you some benefit. That is called a gain. Okay? So something जो बढ़ जाता है is called gains. It can relate to your goals, can relate to your hobbies, it can relate to inheritance. Anything which suddenly comes to you or which increases over time is a gain, right? This is a very
Right.
good house. In the 11th house, planets that are placed become stronger. It's the only house where good and bad planets both are welcome. Okay? It represents older siblings, bade bhai, bade behan. We study your relationship with them through the 11th house. Generally, if Venus is placed here for a man, it represents multiple marriages. If Jupiter is placed here for a woman, it represents multiple marriages. Jupiter here also gives wealth. Venus here can also give luxuries in life. On a higher level, this is also a spiritual gain, and it can show how expansive and articulate your intelligence will be over time. But there is a problem with this house. Since everything is increasing, it can also make you overly presumptuous. People tend to overextend themselves. You can spend more than what you have. This is not just the house of abundance, this is the house of excess. जितने billionaires हैं life में, all of them,
Uh-huh.
not one, all, they
Hmm.
all have very strong ninth and very strong 11th house. Remember that. जब हम किसी की wealth देखते हैं, we always look at connections between second, fifth, ninth, and 11th houses. Second and 11th, money and wealth. If these are somehow exchanged or they have correlation, you will be wealthy.
Wow.
Okay. How famous you're going to be in social media? How popular are you going to be in the world?
Mm-hmm.
Popular, not famous. Popular
Right. Hmm.
will depend on 11th house. 11th house is not just goals, desires, and dreams you have for yourself. It is also goals, dreams, and desires you have for others. Uma, you must have something. If you have parents, I want to give them something. Or I have brothers, sisters, I have cousins, kids, I want to give
Mm-hmm.
them something,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
That desire is 11th house. Now, question is, will you be able to fulfill it? हमेशा हम यही कहते हैं, जरा सा टाइम मिल जाता हम कर लेते थे, राइट?
तो वो कैसे पता चलेगा?
बिकॉज 11th हाउस में जो प्लैनेट्स बैठते हैं दे ग्रो स्ट्रॉन्गर ओवर टाइम.
हाँ
इवेंचुअली
हाँ.
हो जाता है, बट इट टेक्स टाइम. So we need to make your 11th house strong if you want to fulfill your desires.
And again, जैसे मैं फिर से कहती हूँ, पूछती हूँ, that how do we do that?
There are different ways. See, in astrology, there are many remedies we can do if there is weakness. But remember, 11th house Lord is considered to be the most negative planet in your astrology chart. Astrology is all about spirituality. It is not about money. It is not about your desires. It is not about your gains. It is about leaving everything behind and becoming one with God, right? So when somebody says, मुझे और gains करने हैं, we can improve the 11th Lord, or we can improve the aspects. We can do that through mantra होते हैं, and there are many gemstones that can help you with that. These are proven techniques. They do work and they have worked. हाल ही में, just a few weeks ago, we had big executives from a company come in and saying, I need to make this gain because the company is going to get bought out. We are working with that individual to make sure that his finances can go over and beyond what they would if he doesn't do any improvement to the 11th house. 11th house की दशा जब आती है, it will flood you with wealth. Sometimes people sell their business, right? 11th house में है. I've had so many people from New York come to me, after the show, telling me कि हमें gains चाहिए. That's what we do. हमारी property है, 10 साल से
Mm-hmm.
पड़ी है, नहीं बिकती है. And all of a sudden, bang. Like I'll give you an example. Ayodhya mein, ever since they built the Ram Mandir, property prices have gone up 4x, right? 4 guna बढ़ गई.
Wow. Yes. Yeah. It did. Yeah.
So we had an individual who owns acres and acres of land close to the temple, and we told him, आपकी दशा आ रही है, and we helped
हाँ.
him.
हाँ.
Now, why did he invest only in the Ayodhya part? Part of it is luck, and part of it is
Right.
the 11th house, which we were
हाँ.
talking to him. हमने उनकी चार्ट देखी और कहा था, इन्वेस्ट इन प्रॉपर्टी, इन्वेस्ट इन लैंड. ओके,
हाँ.
जस्ट फॉर द रिकॉर्ड, ही इज अ डॉक्टर, लेकिन हमने उन्हें
Hmm.
कहा, इन्वेस्ट इन लैंड, यू आर गोइंग टू मेक अ किलिंग. ही डिड इट. ही
Hmm.
he bought land there, whether it is luck or whatever.
And
11th
he
house
bought it
उनका
at the
इतना
right
strong था.
place.
He bought it at the right place. He bought it 10 plus
Hmm.
years ago. Now
Hmm.
he's ready to sell it, and he's going to make, I think, 5 times what his investment is in a period of 10 years, which is awesome. It's great for him. तो हम कह सकते हैं what is right for you at the right time. ऐसे बैठ बैठ के लाइफ निकल जाएगी, आपको पता भी नहीं चलेगा what happens, right?
Exactly. If you don't take an action, तो कभी भी उसका जो आपको future में you are not able to reap the benefits, because I think it applies to a lot of people जो procrastinate बहुत ज्यादा करते हैं, and they just don't do the leap of faith.
I think I'm not going to blame them as such. Problem क्या होता है कि there are so many astrologers out there who made astrology a business, right? Going to
Mm-hmm.
them is only going to hurt you. आपको उनके credentials नहीं पता, आपको नहीं पता what they deal with. Some people are just out to make a quick buck. Unfortunately, that's true, na? That
Mm-hmm.
has given lots of astrologers not the best reputation. But we have experience, we have credentials, we have people that come to us on a daily basis. And we are part of an organization that has, I don't know, maybe over 1 million birth charts that we can, go and reference. So when you come to us, it helps. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yes, and now in about 30 seconds or so, हम एक छोटा सा top of the hour commercial break लेंगे. उसके बाद भी Dr. Saket will still be with us. So let's say we'll be back in 5 minutes, and he's still here. So don't go anywhere, and be ready with your questions when we come back. Saket, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I thought we're just going to take the break right now.
Yeah, no. So we've got like 5 minute break, and then we can still go on talking about whatever you want to.
Let's take the break and then we'll reconvene.
Hanji?
Let's take the break and then we'll get back.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just gonna play one more ad, and then we go online. Per se. Okay. All right. So we are back on air with Dr. Saket Bhatia. Dr. Saket Bhatia has about 25 years experience in he has a PhD in astrology and a certified numerologist. Saketji is a senior board member of the International Association of Vedic Astrology, which is called the IVAN, and about 25 years of experience. He's got 12,000 plus clients, including a lot of celebrities, CEOs, politicians, and business owners. If you've just tuned in, there is, he's been talking about all these houses, karaks, and also something which is bhavat bhavan. So we've been talking about these houses, और आज हमने cover किया है house number 10 and 11, and currently we were talking about something. Jisaki ji, you want to take it up from here?
Yes. So now what हम क्या करेंगे? We'll jump to the 12th house. The 12th house is the last house. इसके बाद we can move to Bhavat Bhavam, which is equally important. But 12th house is something which is not very well discussed in astrology. People avoid it. 12वां घर जो होता है, it is the last house. You're born in the first house. Okay. Second house is your early childhood days. Third house is basic schooling. Fourth house is formal education. Fifth house is romance. Sixth house is you start working. Seventh house is marriage. Eighth house is debts, disease, destruction, anything that takes place in your life. Ninth house, spirituality. 10th house, career. 11th house, gains. And 12th house is what we call dissolution, the end of everything, right? Everything
Mhm.
has to end, right, Uma?
Right.
But it is also the house of letting things go. कभी कभी लोग एक ही चीज को पकड़ के बैठ जाते हैं, नहीं समझते. They don't let go. That is problem, and that is the 12th house. The 12th house is not just dissolution and letting things go. It also refers to our subconscious, hidden emotional nature. See, let's try to understand this. सारे घरों में से the most secretive house is the 12th house. Any planet which is placed here, it doesn't
Uh-huh.
matter whether it is Jupiter, Venus, जो भी planet यहाँ बैठा है, they will express their energies in a very secluded and private manner. Okay, this is the place जहाँ पर planets are more spiritual and less beneficial to you. It's the house of dreams and fantasies and imaginations. सब ये सब होता है यहाँ पर. It is also the house which is related to sickness, hospitals, prisons, and monastic institutions, religious institutions. हमारे पास हाल ही में somebody came who went to a monastery. So he had a very strong ninth house, correct? He gave up his
Mm-hmm.
business, he gave up his career, and he became a monk. After staying in the monastery for 5.5 years, he came back because he said, no matter what I did in the monastery, I always worried, how's my family? How is my business? मुझे पता करना था. So we looked at his house and we said, your ninth house is strong, spirituality, but 12th house बहुत weak है आपका. 12th house is letting things go. He could not let go of his family. He could not let go of his business. He could not let go of his investments. 5 साल बाद he came back, stating, कि I've had it. I don't think I can be the monastery life anymore. You've heard the ulta. You've heard of people going, becoming monks, but this is the exact opposite, right?
and I'm so surprised this happened. At this point, I do want to hand out the studio number 732-662-4701 is the number 732-662-4701. Dr. Saket Bhatia is here talking to us, and you can always call the studio line, ask him a question, whether it's your career, whether it's your health, your love life, your marriage, जो भी सवाल है, please feel free to call the studio number 732-662-4701. So yes, more about this person who actually went the reverse way, and how did that happen?
Like I told you, strong ninth
Mhm.
house. He did well in his business, married, has a good family. One
Huh,
fine day, he said, I'm tired of living this life. I want
huh,
something different.
huh, huh.
Okay. I told him, I said, I'm not sure you will be able to do it. He said, it's all willpower. I said, willpower आप में है. सब कुछ अच्छा है, but you can't
Uh-huh.
let go of anything. So, packed his bags. He went all the way to India. India say he ended up becoming a Buddhist monk. Uh, 5.5 साल बाद when he came back, I remembered who he was, but not very
Mm-hmm.
clearly because I've met so
Hmm.
many people. And then we discussed and looked at his chart and said, yes, it made sense. I'm actually surprised you lasted 5.5 years. I thought you'd be back in about four. So he has no plans of going again. He's done. And उनकी भी chart एक बार without name, we will study the chart one day on the radio show, explaining कि क्या होता है.
Uh-huh.
So this
So
this is
there's
very
there's
important.
a there's a very high probability कि किसी को अगर ऐसे serve भी करना है life में, but they can still अगर if the charts are in favor, probably they are able to do that, get out of their routine normal life, go and
Yes,
do that whatever उनके कर्म में जो a serving period है, and then come back to routine normal life, right?
exactly. And it's very rare, ना ऐसा होता नहीं है.
हाँ,
This is a
बहुत कम.
this is a
That person has to be really lucky and special ऐसे वाले चार्ट के लिए.
So ये जो 12th house है,
हाँ,
it's also house of prisons. So if your 12th house is very strong and दशा चल रही है उसके लॉर्ड की, you could end up in a hospital, you could end up in a prison because it's the house
ओ,
of loss, right? Losing
हाँ,
things,
हाँ,
the house of
हाँ.
dissolution. जब आप hospital या prison में हो, you're you're not connected with the rest of the world. No, you're separate. See,
Yes, you
this
are
is
isolated. Mhm.
in my words, I call this the house of deprivation of liberty. तो आपकी फ्रीडम चली गई है. हॉस्पिटल
हाँ,
में आपकी फ्रीडम नहीं होती, प्रिजन में नहीं
right,
होती, मॉनेस्ट्री में
right.
नहीं होती.
हाँ,
Now, one other thing you have to understand, this is also the house of pleasure. It is the
hmm.
house of having a luxury lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
अजीब है, but it is true.
It is. I
Uh,
was just about to mention this is such stark opposites.
in Hinduism, this is also the house of liberation from rebirth.
Hmm.
So if we look at the charts of Bhagwan Ram, or we look at Guru Nanak Dev Ji's chart, or we look at Krishna Bhagwan, they have very strong 12th houses, generally with Ketu, which is one of the shadow planets. तो अगर ये strong हो जाता है, we can understand कि this is, you don't have to keep getting born again. It's the house which shows wastage and decay also. Because जो planets
Mm-hmm.
यहाँ बैठते हैं, we tend to lose the traits of those planets in the house. So again, this is not 100%, but to a certain extent. Obviously, it depends on the degree of the planets and the aspects. If there is Sun in the 12th house, it shows loss of self-confidence or poor reputation. Sun in the 12th can also mean falling from grace. You could become a big executive in a company and then come crashing down one day. You could go to jail. These individuals who do some fraud or cheating, right?
Mm-hmm.
The CEOs, they end up in jail. They have Sun
Right.
typically in the 12th house. Moon in the 12th house shows moodiness. Moon is mind, na? When Moon is in
Huh.
the 12th house, you're not using the emotional uh, aspect to your benefit. Saturn here causes depression. अगर Saturn ज़्यादा strong है and it's in a bad dignity, it will cause severe depression. Venus here will give you luxuries in life, multiple cars, multiple houses, and
Mm-hmm.
Venus rarely यहाँ दिखता है. This is also the house of sorrow, disappointment, limitation. right?
हाँ.
Secret house है ये. Remember that. It also represents part of our past life. जैसे फिफ्थ ने past life दिखाया था, जो कर्म थे आपके वो फिफ्थ हाउस में दिखते हैं. Same way
हाँ.
नाइन्थ हाउस आपके फ्यूचर दिखाता है. This house will show you your past to a certain extent. It shows कि आपका माइंड कहाँ अटका हुआ है, what you want to do that you won't let go. So this 12th house is the end of life cycle. Planets थक गए हैं यहाँ. So that's a
At
good way
this
of
point,
looking at it.
at this point, यहाँ पर मैं I would like to hand out the number once again because we've got 15 more minutes. 7326624701. I've got a phone call. Let's listen to them. Hi, you're on
Sure.
air.
Yeah, hi, I can
You,
hear you. Eleven six, so November 6th, 19. You said November 6th, 1963. Hello? And your time of birth? And where were you born? City? Which city were you born? Okay. And what is your question? So we have an individual who called us now.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have his date of birth, time of birth. He's from Kerala, and he says he's going through a lot of anxiety. He's going through a bad phase in life, I guess. So question
Uh-huh.
is, ये दशा कब खत्म होगी? When will it end?
Okay.
So I'm looking at this person's chart, and at this point of time, they are Libra ascendant. Okay, Libra ascendant is run by Venus. Venus is sitting with Mars in the second house. Uh, that's a water sign, and दशा चल रही है Venus की अभी. So Venus is the ascendant lord, but Venus is also the eighth lord for them. So इस कुंडली के मुताबिक Venus is first going to give results of one house and then double results of the other. Venus dasha chal rahi hai, followed by Venus Sun dasha. Venus dasha is not the best dasha for this individual because of placement with Mars. Also, Venus in Navam's chart आपका debilitated है, तो Venus आपको trouble देगा. You don't want to have to deal with this dasha all the way down till 2041 because तब Venus की दशा खत्म होती है, right? Venus double dose of debilitation problem देगा. You have to wait till April 2025 जब Venus Sun दशा आती है, because Sun is placed in your ascendant. He is going to give you that boost of self confidence you need. तो मैं तो यही कह सकता हूँ आपको कि you have Venus Sun. Either you wait till April of 2025, which is 1.5 years, or you try giving us a call. We can look and study your chart. We can analyze it in more detail. इस कुंडली में Saturn is very heavy on your ascendant. आपका शनि आप पे भारी है. शनि अच्छा प्लैनेट है आपके लिए. Don't get me wrong. It's a very good planet for you. But आप पे भारी है. The stress not only comes from Venus Dasha, but also comes from Moon Rahu, which is in the ninth house. Moon Rahu ke saath will cause anxiety, actually. Uh, if you want, you can call us. We can be more than happy to study this in detail. Uh, okay.
Okay, so the number to call Dr. Saket Bhatia direct is 408-639-5300.
The number is 4. The number is 408-639-5300.
Yes, and the email is info@saketbhatia.com. अभी फिलहाल अगर आप बात करना चाहते हो for the next 15 minutes, he's still available, and the studio number is 7326624701. 01732662470.
So we are wrapping up 12th house, right? So
Uh-huh.
12th house, like I said, planets थक जाते हैं यहाँ. Uh, but remember, when people call us and say, I want asylum, or am I going to leave my house? Am I going to migrate to a foreign country? That
Mm-hmm.
shows उसके लिए हम 12th house पढ़ते हैं. Now you'll ask why? Because 12th house is leaving something, na? It's end.
Uh-huh.
अगर आपका 4th house is where you're born. So I was born in India. ये 4th house
Right.
हो गया. अगर हमारा 4th house afflicted है, which means 4th house has some problems in it. There's some weakness. There are bad planets looking at it. We can conclude कि यहाँ तो आप रह नहीं सकते. Either you're going to have an unhappiness at home or you're going to leave your home. Then we study 12th house. अगर 12th house पे अच्छे planets का aspect है, we immediately say you're going to leave and move. तो जो asylum वाले आते हैं, they ask us, am I
Hmm.
going to get asylum? Let's start studying your 12th house. अगर 12th house पे positive influences हैं, we say yes, you will leave. File your asylum जब दशा start होती है.
Uh-huh.
That's a good time to file. On the other hand, अगर 12th house weak है, you will not get your asylum. It happened many, many times. I can personally say asylum, immigration, visa status. I've gone through over 1,000 of these with near accuracy on each of them, not only on the status, but also on the date. That's how accurate it is.
Wow.
So, so
So,
12th house, yes.
एक बार फिर से स्टूडियो का नंबर 7326624701, 7326624701. Just about under 15 minutes यहाँ पर साकेत जी आपके साथ on air. He can answer a question for you, and he's talking about the 12th house currently.
So I'm going to wrap up the 12th house by talking about specific indications. So 12th house is loss, expenditure, expenses. ये तीनों अलग होते हैं. Loss is when you lose something.
Mm-hmm.
Expenditure is when you buy like a nice purse or a nice car. Expense is जब आप खर्चा कर रहे हो with no benefit at this point of time. This house also indicates debt, misfortune, moksha. It also indicates pleasures that you will have in life. Travel to foreign lands, life in remote countries, hospitals, imprisonment, confinement, hearing, left ear, left eye is also controlled by this particular house. If we see Rahu, Ketu, or another planet sitting here, we know कि आपकी left eye थोड़ी weak होगी.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Body waste is done from here. Your experience with thieves and robbers, secret enemies, all here. इसका कारक Saturn होता है. 12th house is a suffering house, not a good house. लेकिन अगर Jupiter यहाँ बैठ गया, it will indicate two things for sure. One, either you're going to be skilled at a young age on business or on whatever you want to do in life later, or two, you're going to be a very charitable person. Why is that? Think about it. Because Jupiter is wisdom, right? Jupiter lets you
Mm-hmm.
accumulate things. But at the same time, if you're charitable, you're giving away stuff, no? And 12th house is the house of loss, giving things away, no? So see how 12th house is not all that bad. Charity is never bad. It's a good thing, right?
Right. It's definitely a good thing.
यही कह रहे हैं कि this is what is very important. 12th house is also critical. Abhi, you have moved from one country to another, from one location to another. You must have
Right.
some aspect on your 12th house. Study
Mm-hmm.
your chart. आपका 12th house दिखाएगा कि there is this strength or this weakness in my chart. This is all about 12th house. Okay?
Wow. So
So
I
we've
think
covered.
most of us that are settled here currently, तो हमारे 12th house में there is this trait जो जिस वजह से we are not in our countries now settled over here.
Correct. You left your place. You've lost it, right? We
Hmm.
consider it a loss. I'm not saying you're
Oh,
not going back, but it's considered a loss. You moved from your
okay.
own house. So, इसके बाद, these are all the houses. Now, what we'll do is, Bhavat Bhavam mein, if we start, we're not going to get time to go through
We
it.
have about 10 more minutes, and I'm still encouraging some callers, 732662470173267326701, 7326624701701, if they have questions. We've got 10 more minutes. Otherwise, Sakeji, what would you like to do? Would you want to wrap up instead of taking a new topic?
Oh, we can continue. There are some small topics that I'd like to discuss to
Uh-huh.
explain people the power of astrology. जो एक चीज
Okay.
हमें बात करनी है इज डिलेइंग फैक्टर्स, डिलेइंग प्लैनेट्स. लाइफ में डिले होता है, आपकी लाइफ में भी डिले है, हर एक की लाइफ में
Uh-huh.
डिले होता है. नाउ हाउ डू वी स्टडी डिले इन एस्ट्रोलॉजी? थिंक अबाउट इट. फॉर डिले वी स्टडी थ्री प्लैनेट्स. वी स्टडी सैटर्न, वी स्टडी राहु, एंड वी स्टडी द लॉर्ड ऑफ द सिक्स्थ हाउस. जो सिक्स्थ हाउस है ये एनिमिटी का घर होता है. इट इज
Mm-hmm.
जनरली योर एनिमीज दैट गेट यू डाउन. Your enemy need not be a living person. It could be your own mind, right? Maybe you took a wrong decision that delayed you. Maybe you didn't
Right.
have the confidence in life that delayed you. तो जो delaying factors है वो पढ़ना पड़ता है कि क्या है. अगर Saturn, Rahu and Lord of the sixth house ये साथ में आ जाते हैं, या they are putting an aspect. Aspect means they are looking at a particular house together. That will cause a delay. Okay? अगर
Uh-huh.
सैटर्न राहु या सैटर्न सिक्स लॉर्ड या राहु सिक्स लॉर्ड आपके फिफ्थ हाउस में आते हैं, दे विल डिले योर चिल्ड्रन. आपको बच्चे लेट होंगे लाइफ में. इफ दे कम इनटू योर टेंथ हाउस, यू विल हैव अ डिलेड करियर. वी सी दिस वेरी कॉमनली इन पॉलिटिशियंस करियर चार्ट्स. पॉलिटिशियंस जो होते हैं, it takes them time to become politicians. They don't become
Uh-huh.
politicians at 20 years,
Exactly.
right?
Huh. Right.
That's why it is called a delayed career. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing,
Hmm.
because at the end of the day they dictate the life of millions of people.
Uh-huh.
So planets हैं Saturn, Rahu and Lord of the sixth will cause delay. Question is, how much delay will they cause? 1 year, 2 years, half a life? For that we have to study what we call dignity of a planet. अगर ये planets अच्छी dignity में हैं, then they will cause small delays. But if they are in bad dignity, they will cause lots of delays. Now, Huma, you can ask me, dignity का मतलब क्या होता है?
I was just
In
about to ask
astrology,
you that.
planets are
Hmm.
friends with other planets and enemies with other planets.
Wow,
If
I
a
didn't know
planet,
that.
oh, of course, just like us, we are neutral
Huh.
to some people, we like some
Uh-huh.
people, and some people we're not very fond of.
Huh.
Same thing of planets. So planets जो होते हैं, if they like other planets, then they become friends. And if they're staying very close to the friends, planets they like, they're considered good dignity. Okay. If a
Mm-hmm.
planet does not like another planet, but it's sitting in an enemy house, और
Hmm.
उसके साथ उसके थोड़ा दूर बैठे हैं, then it becomes bad dignity. It's kind of confusing, but it's very easy once you get the basics of it.
Hmm.
Good dignity
Yeah,
planets,
it did sound confusing to me.
good dignity planets. So if you have a particular friend, you would like
Huh.
to be, so if you have a friend and you are staying with your friend in the same house, that is
Mm-hmm.
considered good dignity. Why? Because आप आपके friend के साथ हो, you know the two of you get along very well. On the
Right.
other hand, if you are sitting with your enemy in the same house, it's not good. It
Hmm.
becomes really bad. That's
Hmm.
considered bad
Hmm.
dignity. एक होता है neutral dignity where you are you have a good friend but you're staying away from them. That's
Hmm.
neutral because you're not in each other's sides, na? So
Right.
dignity is important because ये level of delay दिखाता है.
Uh-huh.
Same way, there is something called separative planets. This will take another 2 minutes to explain.
Yeah, we've
Delaying
got six
planets का
minutes.
delaying तो आपको बता दिया. I explained that delay is Saturn, Rahu, and sixth lord. Separative planet is important. Sun,
Mm-hmm.
Saturn, Rahu, Ketu, and Lord of the 12th are separative planets. These planets will separate us from things in life that they influence. If there is only a separative influence on the house lord, on the house and the karak, then the separation will be permanent. You've heard of cases where people don't meet their parents for lifetime. Separation planet. If 3 or 4 separating planets influence a house, planet, or Karak, then also separation will be permanent. Saturn और राहु जब एक साथ कोई घर को देखते हैं, then they will cause more separation than anything else. Separation becomes a problem for many, many people. It could separate you from your partner. It could
Mm-hmm.
separate you from your business. It could separate you from your kids, right? But इसमें भी dignity पढ़नी पड़ती है. And unlike delaying planets, for separative planets, we must study it from ascendant and the moon. Because अगर दोनों से separation दिखता है, then it is confirmed. A sad example is somebody who had Saturn and Ketu aspecting his fifth house. Okay. That
Mm-hmm.
person ended up losing both his children during Jupiter
Oh.
Dasha. And now you would argue and say Jupiter is looking at the fifth house. Jupiter 11वें घर में बैठा था. It's so strong. Why is the person losing his kids? Both the kids passed away because of separative effect. तो ये समझना पड़ता है that just because a lord is looking at its own house doesn't mean anything. अगर separation effect है, it overrules everything else. 12th lord जो होता है वो separation देता है because I told you it is a house of loss, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Right.
So generally अगर planet debilitated हो ना, one of these planets तो और problem देता है. So we try to tell you in advance ये separation effect है. ऐसे case में we try to lessen the impact of separation. We try to boost the impact of good planets on that particular house. So separation का असर कम होगा. This is what astrology can do. It can play with what is going to happen within certain limits. It can play with your health. We can play with your success. We can play with your career. We do those things. So understand that astrology is a valid science. A good astrologer can be your best friend. He can make you reach levels of life which you had not even imagined because he
Mm-hmm.
tells you, ये opportunity आई है. It's knocking on your door. Grab it. Grab it and utilize it to your advantage. You don't want to keep missing opportunities. उसका फायदा नहीं होता. You'll have too many regrets. Our job is to make sure you know what is coming your way, when it is coming your way, so you can be more successful, more happy, more healthy, and enjoy life the way you're supposed to. डरो मत
Right.
astrologer से जाने के. Go to one. Go to a good one.
Yeah,
Go to one who has good
definitely.
credentials.
And definitely go to someone like Saket, जो वो हर चीज इतने the way he simplifies it and the way he explains it to you is just amazing. And then हो सकता है कुछ मसला. I have another phone call, but I think we already spoke to him. And हमारे पास सिर्फ 2 minutes है. So yeah, he's always very the way he explains it to you. And हो सकता है आपकी charts में कुछ probably a slight here and there हो, लेकिन remedies भी हैं उनके पास. He's got this mammoth experience of 25 years, and with over 12,000 clients, he is here to help you. Now, स्टूडियो में तो आपका फोन कॉल नहीं ले पाएंगे, लेकिन 408-639-5300. That's 408-639-5300. इनका नंबर है जहां पर आप एक प्राइवेट कंसल्टेशन बुक कर सकते हैं. एंड फॉर मोर इंफॉर्मेशन you can always email info@saketbhatia.com. info@saketbhatia.com. 408-639-5300. Just one more minute to go, Saket ji. And yes, so let's wrap this up.
Thank you, Huma. We've covered all the houses today. We've tried to make individuals listening here understand that every chart is unique. Every chart has its strengths. Every chart has its weakness. डरना नहीं
Mm-hmm.
है we have to work on our strengths. We have to make our chart better. We have limited time. We must make sure that positive influences are what we work with and take the negative clutter out of our life. So good things happen to those who wait. You've heard that. And good things will
Yes,
happen to
definitely.
people who stand up and make a change. So your life is short. Make the best of it and learn to enjoy. That's all I have to say. We'll be back again next week.
All right. Thank you so much, Saket, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. ओके ओके ओके, यहाँ पे एंड करना है मुझे।